insists it's doing everything possible to stop the oil leak in the Gulf, but for now the crisis and the criticism are just getting worse. David Axelrod is President Obama's senior advisor, and he joins me from the White House North Lawn with a whole bunch of extra landscaping that you've decided to do there. We appreciate that, David. So I want to start very quickly. I want you to take a listen to two comments from local officials down in Louisiana. First from Governor Jindal about what he wants from the Obama administration. Take a listen.
Simply telling us they're going to come in after the fact and try to clean it up is not enough. Tell us that one of the answers may be to come in and just burn the marsh afterwards. That's not enough of a plan. We need we need more urgency. We need a better plan.
But it's too far gone now for him not to get involved, put his foot down, and demand that somebody take charge that has the ability and the authorization to do whatever it takes.
So, David, let's start with this, the first thing, which is apparently there is a plan that the Louisiana officials want that they say the Army Corps of Engineers has not yet approved about this. Ann Thompson was describing it to us, our chief environmental correspondent, about different canals that they could quickly build as sort of a way to create a natural barrier, I guess, of the oil from coming in too far inland. What do you know about the ability of the Army Corps of Engineers approving this plan?
Well, what I know, Chuck, is that that plan is being evaluated, and the real question is, will it work? Is it an effective way of dealing with this? I understand Governor Jindal's sense of urgency. We share that sense of urgency, and there is a desire to do something, anything, to intervene here. But what we want to make sure is whatever we do is effective and that it will work, and that's the basis on which we should move forward.
There's been some suggestion that you could fire BP from handling the response, meaning we know they're going to be the ones to pay for this, but that they shouldn't even be involved in the decision-making process anymore. How close is the administration to sort of firing BP from the response effort at this point?
Look, the bottom line is this. The Coast Guard's been on the scene from day one. They are in effective control of the process in the area, but BP has the equipment and expertise that's necessary to work on this issue. They've got the equipment that's designed to deal with this very unique kind of problem. We have devoted massive resources to this, including the best minds in our government, scientific minds in our government, including our Energy Secretary, Dr. Chu, a Nobel Prize-winning physicist who has no jurisdiction but has been deeply involved in thinking through this problem. We are putting every available resource in, but we have to take advantage of BP Amoco's expertise and their equipment there, and we'd be foolish not to. No one has that kind of equipment but these major oil companies.
Well, I understand that, but there's no reason why you couldn't essentially use the equipment. BP,
Chuck,
I think the frustration...
Chuck, the problem...
The frustration is that, go ahead.
Does anybody really believe that BP is dragging their feet on solving this problem? The fact is they have a bigger interest than anyone in trying to shut off this leak. There are other places where our interests diverge. For example, on the measuring the oil flow, because their liability will be directly related to measuring that oil flow,
I guess
and that's where
my question. Here,
well, that's why the government has its own independent analysis going. Our national labs are working on that. Sometime this week we'll have an answer from them on this, and that will help determine what BP's liability is. So we're not leaving that to them to determine, and we've been very clear, and Robert Gibbs was very clear yesterday on television. We haven't been happy with their transparency on that particular end of it, and we're going to press very hard on that.
Well, and that's where I think the frustration's building with some folks, because that's what they're seeing out of BP, and everything that BP has said about the size of the oil spill, how many leaks, it's always been, well, it wasn't that, it's more. It wasn't that, it's more. It wasn't that, it's more. Go ahead.
We will get an answer from BP. We will get an answer from our scientists on what the nature of that flow is, the size of that flow, and they will be held accountable for that. But that's separate from the efforts to shut off the leak, in which they have every interest in getting it done quickly, and we have every interest in getting it done quickly, and we're working together on that, as we should.
Does the BP oil spill at this point, does that boost efforts to get an energy climate bill out of Congress this year? Do you think that some way that this is going to, what you're looking to get out of Congress will happen now, maybe because there's a sense of urgency due to the BP oil spill?
Well, I would like to think that this will increase the sense of urgency in Congress, because it underscores the value in developing alternative sources of energy. So I hope that it will give added impetus to Congress to come up with and pass a comprehensive plan.
You don't seem, though, truly optimistic here. You seem a little hesitant to say, yes, definitely.
I think I know you're a student of people, Chuck, but I think you're reading too much. You're reading too much into this. I'm hopeful that they will do that, and we're going to press very hard.
A couple of political questions while I have you here. The first one, in our last NBC Wall Street Journal poll, there was a big disconnect between congressional Democrats and President Obama when it came to, for instance, dealing with Wall Street. This was the specific case. Who was looking out for average Americans? Never mind, there's been this gap in approval ratings. Some of this has come, some on the Hill Democrats believe that, well, the president bashes Washington too much when he's out across the country and doesn't go after Republicans enough. What say you to this criticism?
Well, I think the president's been very clear. We've made some very tough decisions in the last year and a half to deal with some very difficult problems, and we've stood up to some powerful interest groups, banks, insurance companies, the whole Wall Street lobbying culture, and Democrats in Congress have stood with us on this, and the president's been very clear on that. So, you know, I invite members of Congress who have that concern to come out and hear what he's saying. We as a party and he as a president we were handed a terrible mess when we walked in the door, and he's working every day to try and get jobs flowing in this country, and we've made some progress there, and to try and lift middle-class families who've been taking it in the neck for the last 10 years under the policies of the previous administration. So he's making a very strong case out there, and he'll continue to make a strong case out there.